Square, let's go. I heard that we here in the Howard Square, let's go. I heard that we here in the Times Square, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hello and welcome to the MKH Podcast. I am your host, Maximillian Hill, and today we have a very special guest. Christopher Torres is the founder of Marketech Digital, a consulting firm based out of Miami, Florida that's been in business for 16 years. Marketech Digital helps startups, SMBs, and enterprises create the infrastructure and product strategy needed to scale. Christopher, thank you for coming on the MKH Podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Max. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, we've been wanting to get you on the podcast for a little while now. I think we met at an InfoBip event in Miami about a year ago through our friend Marion Sipchicks, the events organizer at InfoBip. So how's Miami treated you lately?
Miami's been treating me pretty good. I just did something in Miami that people can't do across the country. I just got 2 arepas for the price of 1.
You just got what?
2 arepas for the price of 1. Right? I've never got that deal before in my life. Right? So I was starving today, but yeah, that's the beauty about living in Miami, right? I'm one of those persons that hates the weather in Miami. Like one of the small percentage of people that can't stand this Miami weather, but the food, I love that Latin American food.
What are you beefing about the weather in Miami for?
It's hot, man. I grew up in Pennsylvania. So
yeah.
I like see this suit that I'm wearing here. I can't wear that anywhere in Miami. I can't go outside with this.
That's right, you can't.
I can't.
Up here in New York, spring just broke. And like today was like this week was like the first week you could walk outside with jeans and like a t-shirt and feel comfortable. So we, in
Miami, it's every week.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you though, it's not even that far away anymore. It's like $100 Southwest flight. And you're there in a couple of hours,
Yeah.
if you want to be there. The world has gotten very small. So tell me a little bit about Marketech Digital. You've been in business for 16 years. It's a hell of an accomplishment. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Tell me about the story, the 2-minute story of Marketech Digital, and I'll ask you some follow-up questions.
What specifically do you want to know?
I'm really interested. I think my audience is interested in origin stories. How did you get into digital marketing?
Oh my God, I got in digital marketing when my girlfriend got pregnant, and I was like, I need to make money.
That's a practical reason.
I was in the music industry. I was a music producer, and I was a sound engineer for a recording studio, and I did it for 6 years, and we weren't really getting paid. It was just like, I was a kid, and I got tired of getting paid in dreams. So I don't know. My father was a graphic designer, and I was like, yeah, I like design, but I had this thing inside me where I couldn't do exactly the same thing that my father was doing. I would just use it, leverage it, and try to build a career off of it, but not like the exact same thing. So yeah, digital marketing was it started from my search to make money online. There was no university, there was no courses back then for digital marketing. It was all online training. And so when I typed in make money online, the first things I was finding was affiliate programs. So it was like, hey, sell our stuff. We're going to give you a percentage of the sales. And it was like teaching you how to create niche blogs. So I got introduced to the concept of like WordPress blogging many, many years ago, templates and things like that. And how are you like writing articles before? There was no AI. It was article spinners. You would write an article, you would spin it 20 different ways and spread it around the internet and build all these backlinks. But they didn't tell you that you were doing SEO. Right? They told you were doing something called bum marketing. Right? Like you're a bum. You're just it's just lazy. It's lazy man's marketing. Right? Bum marketing, where you spun an article and you pasted it all over these article sites to get people to drive traffic to your affiliate blog, your niche blog. That's really where I got started. Trying to make money online for my new baby.
Yeah.
My first.
I like that story. It's a good story. It's a practical story and it's a real story.
And I hated marketing at the beginning. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah. And a lot of people, and I still get this, like they think it's all a scam. Making money online. And I was like, it's not.
No, they call it a scam because they're not willing to do what it takes to make that money. So some of the scammy stuff is like what I went through, where they're not telling you what you're actually learning. They're making up little marketing terms for it. Instead of saying, here's how to do SEO, they're saying, this is article marketing, right? They won't tell you it's search engine optimization, right? Instead of saying social media marketing, this is link building or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
Right. So they're not telling you exactly what you're doing so that you're not going to other tutorials or courses to learn it. So I finally ended up at this program after joining like one program after the next. I ended up in this program called Wealthy Affiliate. Right. And a Wealthy Affiliate taught you like how to be a guru affiliate marketer. But I never really got deep into affiliate marketing. I just learned everything there is to know about affiliate marketing, but I never really implemented it. And the problem with implementing it was there's always one program was better than the program that you're in. There's always the grass is greener on the other side at all times. Like you're in this program. I remember I was selling a liquid vitamin, I think it was called GBG, that makes you piss orange when you go to the bathroom. Right. Right. But yeah, I mean, every vitamin does that. But no matter how natural or organic it is, it makes your piss turn bright red. So I'm selling this thing and I'm on these calls and they're like, oh, we're the marketing company that we got hired to promote this liquid vitamin product and it's the best product in the world. And this girl's taking it and half an hour later she's cleaning the house and vacuuming and steam cleaning the carpets, right? Because she's so energized and stuff. And like what happens is like the internet knows that you're promoting products and affiliate programs. So what are they doing? They're pushing other affiliate programs and they know your pain points.
Yeah.
They know that you don't know shit about marketing.
Mm-hmm.
They know that you don't know how to drive traffic whatsoever. So they start telling us, yo, we're going to drive traffic for you, or we're going to do these techniques for you, or we're going to eliminate this and this. Or they're saying that our average team makes $20,000 a month and it's only, $700 to join or $7,000 to join, whatever it is. It's the grass is always greener on the other side because you're always promoting somebody's product. So I started having this feeling inside of me that ran deep down to my core that said, I need my own damn product. Because I'm never going to get any type of success if I keep jumping ship for the next best thing.
Yeah.
Because there's no focus on one product. So the rest of my career was like that. It was like, what's the product going to be? Is it going to be a course? Right? Is it going to be right? But I had a background in design, so I was a graphic designer. My father was a graphic.
Okay, yeah.
Right. I never went to school for any shit that I know. Right. My father was my hands-on instructor. Right. He came home one day with a G4 from like 1997. Right. And I'm like, what is that spaceship doing on top of this desk? What does it do? And like he put Photoshop on it. Back in the day, it wasn't even Illustrator, it was Freehand, which is the company that got acquired by Adobe. Right. So I'm using Freehand for vector. I'm using Photoshop for pixel-based designs. And what am I designing? Freaking album covers of myself. Myself as a baby. Like, remember the Nas, like, Stillmatic album covers?
Nas, I do remember Nas.
That's what I would do all day long, design album covers. So one day, a friend of mine, he comes around and he goes, hey, guess what? Zuhair just bought a house at the end of Country Walk. We used to live in Country Walk, back in the day. Deep Kendall. That's that neighborhood that got flattened by Hurricane Andrew, right? So we lived there, and a friend of mine from school, right? And I was in high school. I was like maybe 17 years old, like senior in high school. Zuhair was the owner of the corner store in Country Walk, the Country Market. So he bought a house and at the end of Country Walk, I forgot the name of the neighborhood, but it was one of these brand new neighborhoods with a 2-story, 4-bedroom house, and it's brand spanking new with like practically zero furniture in it. And he wanted us to throw a party there so that we could sell alcohol to minors.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So that's what we did. I was like, we're like, oh my God, we got a party house. We're teenagers. So we're going to parties every weekend, right? We weren't going to nightclubs. We didn't have fake IDs yet. So we're going to this, we're going to this party. We're planning the party. So we had a month to plan the party, right? And I'm over here like assigning and delegating tasks. And this was my first real experience with marketing before I got into online marketing. my first real experience in marketing was designing the flyer for the party and making sure that we had all of the flyer said, this is 25 years ago. The flyer said Funhouse 2000, right? And it was black and white, and I had like all this crazy weird text on it, but I had to have something for everybody. So I remember it said, ladies, don't worry, if you don't have a man, one will be provided for you. And it said something like $5 off admission if you sign up for the wet t-shirt contest.
Oh my God.
So I was subconsciously telling people this is going to be an exciting party. I didn't really give a crap about giving people $5 off.
Yeah.
I just wanted people to think there was going to be a wet t-shirt contest there. Right. So I put this crazy flyer, and I think we originally, the first version was like alcohol will be available, to purchase or something like that. And we decided to remove that part. We put refreshments are available upon request.
Yeah.
And it was a hit. The marketing strategy was we had 5 guys that were planning this thing, and I told them we went to Kinko's and we basically cut up the flyer into 4 sections, right? So we had 4 times the amount of flyers.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like black and white paper flyers. We didn't spend all this money, right? And then I told these guys, listen, guys, I better not catch any one of you guys putting one of these flyers in a guy's hand.
Yeah.
Females, it was females only.
Yeah.
So that's all we did. We basically promoted it to our top persona, which was females, right? And we broke it down by category. Okay, top priority is cheerleading. Second priority is flag squad. Third priority is soccer team, right? We started breaking down all these priorities, right? And then when we were done, we hit all the females. We took whatever was left over, and we just kind of threw it at the buses at the end of the day, right? And then we're sitting there. This party is supposed to start at 9 o'clock, right? And we're like 9:15, nobody's there. And we're like, oh, all right, guys, we gave it our best shot. We gave it our best shot. Nobody's coming. A month of planning here. The fridge was stocked with every type of alcohol you can imagine. Back in the day, it was Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember.
I do remember Mike's Hard
Lemonade was the
Mike's
most
Hard Lemonade
drink.
still sells really well. Although these days,
So,
and I got to give kids credit, apparently non-alcoholic beverages are very popular. And I think that's a good thing overall. I think it's a good thing.
So everybody's like, who is this alcoholic party guy? Like, dude, I'm I'm completely alcohol free in 2025. I don't even drink ever. I don't even drink a bottle of wine. But our party was sponsored by the owner of the Country Mart Quickie Mart corner store. Right. And so I said, well, we can't just have beer and Mike's Hard Lemonade. We had a freaking drink menu. You can order pina coladas, margaritas. Like, we had the recipes. Like, we did a crazy amount of planning. And we had like 4 blenders set up, and we made like custom drinks all type. Like, it was the bomb party. That party had 2 DJs. In a house party. It had an indoor DJ and an outdoor DJ in a house party.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sitting there 9:15 thinking this is a complete bust, a failure. Nobody's showing up. And we had somebody at the gate, because it was a gated community. So I'm like, okay, somebody needs to be at the gate with a walkie-talkie, right? And we had like a parking team, right? Because we wanted to help people find the house, but we wanted to make sure people were getting past the gate. So like 9:25, we get a call. Bro, the hottest freaking group of girls just freaking asked me, where is this party? I was like, oh shit, we're in business. So like from like 9:30 on, it was like girls, just cars of girls showing up, right? And there was like, oh, we got one or two guys with us. That party had so many girls, it was insane. Like it was like 70% women, right? But eventually all the guys started showing up, right? So our ratio was amazing. It was amazing. It was like 1.5 girls for every guy. It was, and they were the hottest girls you can imagine.
That's good.
So,
that sounds like a great party. Keep going.
Oh, I could keep going. About let's see, we had it was probably the best 45 minutes of my life. No, I'm sorry. It was about the best hour and a half of my life. Because at 11 o'clock, like 4 squad cars showed up and shut us down.
Yeah. It reminded me the best party I had. I guess it was my senior year in high school, and my aunt and uncle went on vacation to Italy, and then we had just won a football game, and
Yeah.
then I just invited like maybe six friends,
Uh-huh.
you know, to my aunt and uncle's, right? And then six turned into 12, 12 turned into 20, 20 turned into 50, 50 turned into like the entire senior class, right? And
Nice.
everything was going great. We were having a great time. And then I was on the second floor. I'm looking out, and all of a sudden, I just see like a mass exodus of people like leaving, like out, like running across the lawn, running across the street. I'm like, oh fuck, what's going on? And I just go downstairs. I see my father just furious, right? And that was the end of that party. But it was about good for it was good for like about 2 hours. But yes,
In
that's
your case, it was dad. In my case, it was like Miami-Dade police showing up.
yeah,
And
freaking
here's the crazy thing: parties don't get shut down until midnight. So I was pissed at the fact that they shut us down an hour early before midnight. I was pissed. I was like a month of planning down the drain. But it was up until then, the house was full, the backyard was full, both DJs were cranking out. We had the hottest DJs. I think it was I think it was the Baja Panty DJs. Back in the days,
uh-huh.
Baja Panty was a big thing in Miami. So we had like these hot DJs. They were playing, I can still remember they were playing, "Hey, where the party at? Girls is on their way with the
Did
Bacardi at."
David Caruso show up? Miami
Yeah.
CSI?
Yeah. No, no. I mean, it was
Did
hot.
he
So
come
I
out with
learned a
his
lot about
sunglasses and like
marketing.
Christopher Torres?
I learned a lot about marketing, like from that one event. And I still use the strategies that I put into that flyer to this very day on product strategy, marketing campaigns. I use the same strategies from that one flyer.
What is something that most founders who don't have a background in marketing, um, what's one thing that they should know about marketing? Because I don't know much. I know a little bit about marketing. That's not my background. My college roommate is a marketing guy. He actually was a director of marketing at Forbes for, I think, like 12 years. Um, but yeah, what's one thing that people who don't have marketing backgrounds should know about marketing?
Are we talking about tech founders or what type of businesses?
I guess tech founders, but in general, because there, believe it or not, there
People
are
think,
other businesses that aren't tech businesses.
yeah, people think that I'm going to build this product and then I'm going to hire this marketing guru and they're going to drive all this traffic and get and promote the product, which is the most backwards thinking ever, right? The product itself is the most powerful part of your marketing strategy, right? So I was originally going to say the goals and pain points is where all marketing strategy starts, right? Personas, goals and pain points. Who are you targeting? What are the goals? What are their problems? Like what's stopping them from reaching their goals? That's it. That's the core of every marketing campaign, right? But the problem is people design these products and they're not doing the same type of market research on that product as if they were going to build a campaign, right? They're not really expanding on their marketing channels, right? They're probably being a little too niche. I'm not into niche products. I'm into niche launches. I'm into early adapter persona and niche down your launch, but I'm not into niche down your entire business model, right? So what I promote more is having a niche problem. So having a very specific problem that you can solve for as many people as possible. Not that you're a niche market that solves multiple problems. You're still a jack of all trades, right? But that's, Eric Ries wouldn't agree with me. That's why I'm not really into all this literature because half of the stuff they're saying, it's great, it's great strategy, but if you apply every single one of them, there's a lot of stuff that's in there that's very incorrect if you want to build a product that has mass market potential. So everything that I do is mass market potential products, which starts with a niche problem, not a niche audience,
Mhm.
right? So when you're going to do your launch strategy, your go-to-market strategy, that's when you niche down your audience, not when you're building the business model. A lot of people make the mistake that they're going to niche down their audience at the business model level. Like we're going to solve these problems for this audience. But what happens is they're solving the same problems that somebody is solving for an other audience, right? And it's a list of problems, right? And what's their unique advantage? Their unique advantage is the audience, which means they really don't have a unique advantage.
Mhm.
right? Your unique advantage should never be the audience. Your unique advantage is the way that you're solving the problem. And when you include multiple audiences, it forces your value proposition to be unique because you're throwing multiple audiences in the unique event. Google Docs doesn't have a niche market. Google search engine doesn't have a niche market. Gmail doesn't have a niche. Well, it does, but it's not as niche as you think. Everybody uses it,
Yeah.
right? So let's put Gmail for instance. Their market is broken down into consumers and businesses. And I could take consumers, I could break that down into 100 categories. I could take businesses and break it down into 100 categories. So what's their niche market? Who's the Google search engine's niche market? Right. So mass market potential and a technology product is not based on niche markets. Now, that doesn't apply to B2B. On B2B is totally different. B2B, you need to be more niche than anything else. I'm talking about B2C.
Mhm. Yeah,
Right.
B2C has to have mass market appeal. B2B, and that's the thing. I've met some founders of like niche businesses that you would never even think about. You would until they explained it to you, and then you're like, "Damn, that's a $2 million business a year," you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
B2C, it's got to be mass market. Yeah.
Oh, and you have to know what your real problem is that you're solving that will appeal to the mass markets. So there was a company who they were going to do like some type of Yelp social version of Yelp, and I said, no, you got something better than this. Or this is not a Yelp. This is a social media, like a full-blown social media application, because people don't really care about the locations. They care about what you do at these locations.
Mhm.
So you make sure that whatever problem you're solving is the problem that appeals to the mass market if it's going to be a B2C product. If you're going to do a niche B2C product, you're going to have a lot more problem getting traction. A lot of people get that confused with a go-to-market strategy. I'm not talking about go-to-market strategy. I'm talking about business model, core business model strategy. I'm talking about who are your service seekers, who are your service providers, who are your potential partners, who are your related industries, what's everybody in between. That's what I'm talking about. Go-to-market strategy is taking whatever your business model is, that your mass market potential business model, and narrowing that down to a niche market, right? A niche consumer, right? And then narrowing down the value proposition to that niche consumer. That doesn't mean your main business model has to be niche, right? You would never have a Facebook, you would never have a Google, you would never have a DoorDash, you would never have any of these products if you thought that way.
Yeah.
Right. And that's my main issue when like this whole lean concept. Like I don't design lean, I launch lean.
I like it. I like it. You mentioned AI. How has because you and I were exchanging texts leading up to this podcast, and I use AI for my content because I don't have a huge staff, right? And we don't have time. I'm not a professional writer, right? So the captions on some of the podcast episodes, right? You just put it in. I think it's called Cast Magic. Uh, if you start getting more involved in podcasting, look up Cast Magic. Very powerful tool for podcasting. But how has AI helped your work, and how has it appeared in the work of your clients?
Use AI for everything. I'm almost like reluctant to talk about how much how much we use AI for content creation. We just built a 2-month curriculum for account executives just using pure AI. Now it's not AI doesn't speed up the process like that much, but it does help organize things. So my reflections for our learning objectives is don't use AI to create content. Use AI to organize content.
Yes.
Right, which means prompt engineering needs to include all the content that should be in there. So you should either have a subject matter expert or you should be able to feed the AI. So now AI has the ability to put multiple attachments, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. All these tools have the ability to attach multiple documents. Before we were using whatever the AI is being trained on the internet, right? So I'm creating sales training content for AI. I'm the subject matter expert, right? So as I'm creating this content, I realize, and I realized this before, like ChatGPT can't sell to save its life, right? Like tell ChatGPT sell or drown, ChatGPT is going to drown, and those goes for any AI. Why? Because where do sales conversations happen? They don't happen on the internet, right? What is ChatGPT or Gemini? What are these tools really good at? Creating marketing content. Why? Because that's what their whole database is trained on. Internet landing pages. All these landing pages is marketing content, headlines, CTAs, right? Different tones of voices, different style marketing websites, landing pages, blogs, and articles. That's what it does very well because it has all the data. So if you're going to create content, in my case, sales, ask yourself, does this AI have the data it needs, right, to create the content that you need at that level of expertise that you want it to output, right? And most of the time, if it's not marketing content or if it's not like help doc content, it's because it's going to be no. So what you need to do is go find that content. If you're not going to be the subject matter expert, download it as a downloadable resource because sales conversations happen inside LinkedIn. Sales conversations happen on the phone. They happen on text messages, right? They happen on Zoom calls. They happen on Google Meet calls. They don't happen on the internet. So if you can get transcripts of these sales conversations from LinkedIn, from your Google Meet and Zoom, and you could upload them as attachments to AI. Now you're training this thing how to communicate sales. Mm-hmm. But if you're using it to create sales outbound messaging without training it on the proper way to do a sale, it's going to create you the same junk that you're seeing in your LinkedIn inbox, stuff that people don't respond to.
You mentioned ChatGPT can't sell or drown, right?
Oh no.
Unfortunately, I think the majority of humans can't sell either. I think if you approach most people on the street, sell or drown, most people are going to drown. So what are some things that you've learned in the sales world that you could share with, let's say, someone who's stuck in a crappy cubicle job? Maybe they don't aspire to be a billionaire, right? But maybe they want to, start a little business, gets them to $1 to $2 million, right? Just enough to retire. What's something you could share with that person about sales?
So everything you do for that business, right, to attract sales needs to be based on the 5 steps to a conversation, actually the 6 steps to a conversation, right? And I learned that from doing door-to-door sales. I'm not sitting there with my nose in books. I'm not sitting there with my, studying university or on YouTube. This is real life stuff that works from companies that are training people to do it. So when I was a teenager, I sold coupons door to door, and our 6 steps of the conversation was introduction, short story, qualifying, presentation, closing, upsell, right? And so like if you're going to design a web page, right, and you expect people to take a certain action and you're not walking them through the 6 steps of a conversation, don't expect them to take that action. Right? Let's not like you when you walk into a dealership, they don't just say, "Hey Max, thanks you for coming in. Let me show you the cars." Right? They say, "Hey Max, how's it going? I'm Chris. What brings you in today?" Right? They might even do a short story like, "Welcome to World Ford. We're Blue Oval certified dealership, blah 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 blah." You know what I mean? They're just, what brings you in today? Right? So they'll do an introduction, they'll do a short story, and then they're going to go into a qualifying process. Right? So you're looking for a new car. Okay, is it new or used? Okay, are you going to finance or are you going to lease? Do you have any color preferences? Right? The body style preferences? Like, what is your budget? They're going to qualify you, and then they're going to do a presentation. Okay, they might do it on the computer, and they might say, let's walk the lot. Then they're going to close you. They're going to upsell you, right? And so people expect this same person to be completely absent from the sales process, and the website is going to take over, and it's just going to sell with no process whatsoever. I'm just going to, I say, what's the purpose of a website, right? Max, what do you think is the purpose of a website? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I got to, for the sake of the example.
These days, for, I think, prospects, it's like the first impression that you get of a business.
It's branding and information.
Yeah.
Right? That's good. So some websites are just that for branding. Why? Because since the release of sales funnels, the sales funnel takes over, right, the sale, and the website just for branding. But if you want your website to actually do things, Number one, the website needs to represent the primary point of contact for the business.
Okay.
In this case, it's the salesperson, right? The car salesman, right? Number two, it needs to basically walk them through the same steps in the conversation that the primary point of contact will walk them through when it comes to introduction, short story, qualifying process, presentation, closing, and upsell, or else people are just not going to do the things that you don't tell them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's the mistake I see a lot of people when they go from in-person business or professional experience to I want to get an online business, is they forget that the online business needs to represent a person and a person's process.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't put that there.
I've met so many software engineers, and I don't like to lump any group of people. I try not to, but they create this product, right? And they think it's going to sell itself. And, unless you're Meta, I don't think it's true. Every product needs to be sold. But so you said intro, short story, qualifying process, presentation, close, upsell.
Yeah. Every landing page, not just the homepage. Every single landing page should have that process in place. So sometimes you're going to see FAQs on a landing page. Why? And people they don't know where to put the FAQs, right? Some of my students will take the FAQs and they'll put it, I don't know, after the value proposition, because I think this is where people want to have their questions answered. But if you really understood the 5 steps to a conversation, you realize that there's something after the presentation and between the presentation and the closing is called a closing loop, right? And before the closing loop, what you want to do is do objection handling by asking if the person has any questions. Now on a website, I can't just tell you, hey, do you have any questions? I need to assume that you do have questions, and I need to assume what those questions are by putting frequently asked, that's what I call frequently asked questions. But in order to know where to put those frequently asked questions, I need to know the process of that conversation, right? So if I go on the site, the introduction is the logo, and the headline of the page or the title of the page, that's the introduction. Who are you, right? The short story is why are you here, or why am I here to serve you, right? That's usually a little description, right, under the title. The qualifying process could be a form, right? But in some pages, a lot of landing pages don't have forms. So the qualifying process are different scenarios in which this product or this service would apply to. So I do 3 or 4 different tabs, different scenarios. And if you can pick those scenarios and go, I'm one of these 4 personas and I fit the scenario, you just qualified yourself. So from there, I go into the presentation, the benefits, right? Feature and benefit, right? And it's all the same way you would sell a car, feature and benefit, right? But then where people get really lost in the sauce is that the trickiness is in how do you go from the presentation to the close? What is the close? They know what the close is, your CTA. And they think that the close needs to come at the end. But on a really good landing page, sometimes the close is at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end. You'll see a CTA button at the beginning, middle, and the end. So that's the close. But the close is really, the real close is after you've digested all the information. What's the number reason for lost sales? Unanswered questions, right? So that's why before you go into a close, you're going to try to answer as many of those questions as possible. And people think that, because that's the case, I'm going to put these questions above the final CTA. But that's not really how it works, because in a closing loop, right, in the closing loop, those questions come after you close, after you ask them for the sale. So and I learned that from door-to-door sales. I did the presentation. I'd be like, you're going to get, from now until next year, buy one, get one for 8 pizzas. Every time you order 2 pizzas, you only pay for 1. And every single month, you're going to get a pizza without even have to buy anything. And you're going to get a free buffalo wings every single, right? And then I'm done my presentation, right? And then I look for buying signals. And based on the buying signals, basically the things that they were interested in, I go, does whatever they were interested in, so does that sound like something you want to take advantage of? Is are you you really want to have those buffalo wings for free every month? And they just go, yeah. So I'm asking a question that I know is going to get a yes, and then I go into my close, right? Why? Because I want a soft sell before a hard sell. Mm-hmm. Right. So I want you subconsciously nodding your head. That's why through the whole conversation, I'm nodding my head with you. Right. I'm asking you stupid questions. You guys eat pizza, right? And I'm nodding my head while I'm asking you. Right. And then how many pizzas you guys eat? 1 or 2? Right. If it's 2, I got you. You're a customer. Right. And then when I go for the close, guess what comes right after my CTA on the landing page? FAQs. Right? Because I want to make sure I answered your questions, because if I didn't answer your questions, it's the thing that's going to be blocking you from taking action. Right? But then a closing loop is looking for those little buying signals, right? There's a couple, so I'm putting those buying signals, I'm putting blog articles, I'm putting resources, right? Because those are the buying signals, right? And also that helps separate the browser from the buyer. So there's always two types of website visitors, or right? There's always somebody that knows what they want and somebody who doesn't really know what they want yet. So we have different pages for each. And I actually learned that from SEO, right? Well, back in the days when it was called article marketing, I didn't know what SEO was, but they taught you the difference in browsers and buyers, right? So browsers are tire kickers, right? So we take them to browsing pages, all categories. If you view my all categories page, it doesn't show all categories. It shows all categories plus every possible bell and whistle you can possibly imagine. That's where the designers have the ability to change layouts completely, right? You'll see it. Amazon has these like collection group pages, right? And we do that for a reason, because we know that you haven't made a decision to do business with us yet, and you need to see bells and whistles and shiny objects, right? So, but if you are a buyer in the SEO world, if you're a buyer, your keyword is not how can I do this? Your keyword is model number, blah, 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 right? Or a specific product name or specific product feature, right? If you're looking for a model number or a product name, you already know that you want to buy. You're looking for people that can sell it to you at the lowest price, right? So you need to be able to translate that over to your website or your software. When people are ready to buy, right, there's different ways to handle them. You use the CTA. If they're browsing, right, I give them ways to continue browsing. So I put like, hey, check out our tutorials on whatever the topic is. So I'm trying to recruit remote talent, right, on one of our landing pages. I'll put tutorials to help you get the most out of the network, even though you haven't even registered yet. And my main CTA is register, sign up now, become, sign up to our talent network. But if you don't do that, you're not a buyer. So I'll put resources there for browsers, right? Because I know that if you digest those resources, the number one reason for lost sales is unanswered questions.
Yeah.
So if you get your questions answered, you're going to come back to the same pages and you're going to click and you're going to register.
I actually recently just met a musician who has like over 10 million streams of her music on YouTube. And she also has a background in door-to-door sales. So what is it about because I've done door-to-door sales too. So I'm always interested in learning about people's experience, because it's not for the faint of heart. So what did you learn from that experience, and how did you handle the rejection? Because that's what it is. It's nonstop rejection.
Oh, rejection. How do you handle rejection? The law of
Well,
averages.
we'll
get to that
not in general, but how do you handle door-to-door? How did you handle it? I mean,
handling rejection is called the law of averages. But how do you
keep pushing forward?
Sales?
Yeah.
Well, you keep pushing forward. You just need to have the mindset of what you're actually doing. So the law of averages helps you. We'll get into that in a minute. But what did I take away from door-to-door sales? It's the type of sales, impulse sale, right? It's not premeditated, right? When you do car sales, it's premeditated, right? Door-to-door sales is not premeditated. It's called impulse sale. That's why it happens in like 5 minutes, right? That's why you have to know the structured conversation quickly. But in that impulse sale, my job is to jump into your head, move things around, and jump out with a $20 bill, right? That's my job. And I need to do it within 5 minutes. So I need to know how to push your buttons quickly, right? So I need to know trust factors. I need to know fear factor. I need to know greed factor. I need to tell you, hey, your neighbors just bought 3 of them from me, right? All of that is translated into website selling, right? And all of that sales strategy is translated into software design. Because every time we design software, it's a sales engine. You can't see it. It's invisible. But all the strategies of a sales process are baked directly into the software, right? It's a sales engine. It's a sales automation engine is what it is, right? Upselling, giving you a little free trial, all of that. They're all sales engines that are baked into your software design. And it's the same strategy you're going to use from the website. It's the same strategy that the car auto salesman is going to use, and the same strategy that the door-to-door salesman is going to use, because he structured the conversation in a way. He understands the different factors to move the needle on your emotions. He understands how to tweak and manipulate your pain points and your goals, right? He understands to look out for your buying signals. He understands what buyer interest is, right? Like, for example, we designed a video platform.
Okay.
And somebody wanted us to do a page full of tutorials, right? And they had a half an hour video explaining their product, right? And I said, nobody's going to watch that half an hour video, but they will watch 30 minutes of video. They're like, what do you mean? They're not going to watch a half an hour video, but they would watch 30 minutes of video. Yeah, they'll watch 31-minute videos, but they won't watch a half an hour video.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What's the difference? Because it's buyer interest, right? The reason for that is when I land on a half an hour video, I'm going to have a little introduction that I may or may not be interested in. I'm going to have 5 minutes of the first topic I may or may not be interested in. I'll have 5 minutes of the next topic I may or may not be interested in. So my buyer interest is going up and down.
Of college.
Huh?
College, they force you to take all these courses that you're not even interested in.
But if they did that according to buyer interest, you would finish the entire program. So let's look at
you just solved the $1.7 trillion debt problem. Right
look
here
at how
on the
buyer interest
MKH
is
podcast.
So if you're going to give me the same 30 minutes and 1 minute segments, I'm not talking about watch 1 minute and the next minute, and the next minute, and the next minute, or am I? Because that's exactly what you're doing. The only difference is you're changing the order in which you watch the videos, right? And understand that SEO, that page is SEO optimized. So the first video that I land on is related to my keyword search, right? So immediately I have a 1 minute video of the exact topic that I'm interested in because I searched for it. So my buyer interest is already here. You can screw that up by giving me more than what I asked for. That's not exactly what I asked for. Or you can allow me to choose the most related videos. So you just build an algorithm for related videos, but those related videos are also just a minute long. Right? This is why you're on TikTok for 2 hours at a time. This is why you're scrolling through Instagram Reels for 2-3 hours at a time. It's because this is short form video content and buyer interest stays high, even though you're not a buyer, right? But user interest stays high, right? So how do you translate that into sales? I want to tell you about my product, and I want to take 30 minutes to tell you about my product, right? So I'm just going to chop that up into 30-minute segments, and then I'm going to SEO optimize each one of those videos separately so that when you land on the page, you get exactly what you're looking for. And then I build an algorithm to put the most related videos first. And then I put maybe 5 related videos, and out of the 5, you choose that. So now there's an 80% or a 20% chance, right, of you choosing something that you're going to be highly interested in, right? And then because your buyer interest is high, your desire to watch the next video is much higher. So you keep doing that and doing that over and over again. So the videos that are least relevant to you become more relevant because you've actually digested more information, because the number one reason for lost sales is what? Unanswered questions. So the second you start getting more of your questions answered, the buyer interest goes higher for videos that you weren't even interested in at the beginning. Yeah. So it stays high. So by the time you watch all 30 of the videos, you watched all of the content, right? The conversion ratio is way higher than it would have been if I would have gave you a 30-minute video. Because even if you watch the whole 30-minute video one shot, your buyer interest is going up and down.
Yeah.
Right? But if you watch all 30 videos and maybe 15 of them you're interested in, the other 15 you're not interested in, the fact that you're choosing the sort order and I'm putting the most related ones, the buyer interest stays high the entire time, which means the conversion rate is much higher when I ask you for the sale.
If let's say you just launched a small business and someone has you build a website for them.
Yep.
If the website's built properly, how long, this was a question a prospect gave me, how long until they're at the top of the Google search results?
So how long until they're at the top of the Google search results? It depends on many factors. How long does the person stay on the page before they leave? That's bounce rate, right? How optimized is this page? Also, Google search results for what? Local or national? If you're not ranking locally,
let's say local. Let's say it's a local small business.
Oh, local, yeah, that's easy. I could rank you locally by tomorrow. Realistically, I can take a week to rank you locally. Doesn't mean you're going to get any traffic.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of SEO companies that are going to tell you, hey, we're going to get you, locally. I used to do 300 page one rankings for local keywords for my clients. 300. We would choose 30 keywords, and then we would choose 10 locations for each of the keywords. And I'd have and I would say, oh, I'm going to give you 100 page ones by month 2. And instead that's what I would promise, but instead I would give you 300 by month 1, by the end of month 1. So I would over deliver. Because local ranking is not hard at all. It doesn't mean you're going to get traffic.
Yeah.
Local keywords have such low search traffic.
So then what's the next step? So if you're if you're top of search results, that's one thing, right? But then how do you get traffic?
You need to be ranking for competitive keywords. So so SEO is like my icing on the cake strategy, right? I don't really rely on that for massive traffic. I rely on other product strategy types of growth hacks, right? Because I'm a product strategist, right? I can always hire an SEO technician and be like, optimize these pages. And I can design them in the way that they can be optimized, right? I could put invisible text on the page as well. Like if I need to optimize the keyword density without changing the quality of the content, I can put invisible text on the page to do that. There's a lot of little tricks you can do, but the SEO technician should know all that stuff. I tell them, hey, put invisible text in this section, they'll do it, right? But how do I get traffic? I want to, number one, design a product that everybody's going to be talking about and sending people to me without me asking them to do so. And then I want to incentivize them and then ask them to do so. So I want the product to be, so first of all, I want product-based viral strategy, right? I don't like SEO. SEO is competitive, right? SEO is highly competitive. Paid search ads are highly competitive. Facebook ads highly competitive. LinkedIn outreach is highly competitive, right? I don't want to compete with people on my lead generation strategy. If I'm going to be competitive, I'd rather be competitive on the product, because I'm competitive with the product. I can invite people to write for my blog.
Yeah.
Right. And what are they going to want to do with that article? They're going to want to share it with their friends, but I'm going to empower them to do this. I'm going to design some tools to get them to share the content with their friends. But I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to empower them to monetize the content. So I'm going to give them tools to allow them to put together custom pricing packages and little discounts and stuff that they want to give to their audience, right? And then embed all those links to the discount codes that go directly to my checkout process. So they have customized affiliate links in some of the platforms that I've designed, right? But I'm inviting them to write for me, but then I'm allowing them to monetize it, and I'm allowing them to share their audience because I build a profile for them. I put all their social links for them. And what I'm really doing is I'm saying, tap into my audience, right? So if I have we did this for a marketing automation software, and I was a chief product officer at Referizer, right? We did that for their marketing automation tool. I started inviting all these content creators, right? These authors, right? And then I paired that up with affiliate marketing. And then I pair that up with custom affiliate links, and I pair that up with your own custom discount codes, and I paired that up with your ability to create your own custom package, right? And then you'd write the article about pain points and goals, and then this is the specific package you need and why Referizer is the answer. So I'm empowering them to tell everybody that Referizer is the answer to their problems, right? Before I ever get into SEO. But the first thing I want to do is make sure the product is really better than the competitors. That's number one. The second thing I need to do is empower people to tell people about it before I try to compete on a highly competitive marketing strategy like SEO or PPC. Right? That's why I mean icing on the cake. So everything else is the layers of that cake. I need to build the foundation first. I need to build the infrastructure for growth. So once I build that infrastructure for growth, everything else is the icing on the cake. The icing is what attracts people to the cake. Right? But if they bite the cake is made out of concrete and they break their teeth, they don't take a second bite.
No, they don't.
So I'm focusing on the cake first. I can put coconut cream and cream cheese and guava and how we do it in Miami. I can put all that on top to attract you, but if the cake is crap, you're not taking a second bite. So that's what people are doing. The people are doing icing on the cake marketing all day long. They're not doing product strategy marketing. When I tell you the product is the most powerful marketing strategy, it's not just the core product. It's the add-on products that you build onto it.
Yeah.
It's the affiliate product. It's the blog product. right? It's the pricing strategy. It's the freemium pricing plan, right? It's the value proposition, the unique advantage, and it's the different market channels that you build into that value proposition. Like I said, I'm not solving, many problems for one customer. I'm solving one problem for many customers. So it's the formula for growth, right? And then everything else, like attraction strategy, I just hire people to do that, right? People in my firm will do the SEO. People in the firm will do the pay-per-click marketing. If you don't need me as an expert to do it, I'm not going to do it, right? I have people that do that, right? That's attraction marketing. And people, when business owners, they figure out like, how do I sell more? How do I do better marketing? If you look online, all the marketing is attraction-based, icing on the cake marketing.
Yeah.
They never focus on the core problem, which is your product sucks.
Yeah.
Or that's usually not the core problem. The core problem is your product is good, but it's not as good as the best product in the industry. That's the main problem that people are having, and they can't see it because they're not product strategists. I'm an attorney for business models. I'm looking at all the little legal loopholes. I'm looking at all the UX loopholes. I'm looking at all the product strategy, pricing strategy. I'm looking at your competitors in your market at the same time to make sure whatever you're building is dominating the market. Number one, or else why would people write about you? Even if I give them all these incentives, right? I want people to want to tell people. I want people to say, this is the best product to solve this problem and actually mean it and be honest about it.
Very
Right?
cool.
Everything else, icing on the cake.
All right, Chris, I think that's all the time we got for today. But I really enjoyed this conversation. Would love to invite you back on to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
I would love to pick your brain, talk about sales. I know a lot of people in my audience would love to hear more from you. Um, and yeah, I mean, this was a great conversation. Great conversation.
Man, it was great to be on. I really appreciate you inviting me on. I'm not a sales expert, right? I do have a lot of expertise in sales, and I do have a lot of experience and background in sales, but I'm more product strategy, and a large part of product strategy is sales.
Yes.
Right? And a lot of people, they get it wrong. They think, oh, this is a product, we're going to build the best product we could, and then sales is separate. It's not.
Yeah.
It's marketing and sales needs to be baked into the product.
Yes. Where can people go to learn more about you and to learn more about Market Tech Digital?
They can check me out on LinkedIn, right?
Okay.
If you want to learn more about me, get me on a call, right? That's the best way to learn more about me. Go and get on LinkedIn and invite me to whatever you're doing. You might invite me to your podcast. You might invite me to, to have coffee, have lunch, right? Let's talk because I really want to know like what you're up to, what you're building, and how I can make it better. Or you can just go to the website, markettechdigital.com. You're not going to learn a lot about me. You'll learn a lot about my company and what we do. But if you want to learn about what I do, yeah, let's hop on a call. Like get on my LinkedIn.
Sounds good. Christopher Torres, founder and CEO of Market Tech Digital. Chris, thank you for coming on the podcast, and we look forward to having you on again.
Thank you, Max. Have a good